just go ahead and cook, brother. How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good. Of course, I'm not happy about Duke being number 4. That's um, I mean, Duke. I'm always going to be biased towards my Duke Blue Devils. I think this year is just a weird bracketing year when you're looking at it. I mean, you see like Kentucky at 3. You see in some of these matchups right here. As you like you said, you got the bracket on set, and I'm looking through the bracket myself. Um, I think it's weird, especially like on the women's side. Um, of course, South Carolina being where they should be. I like Iowa. I do like Iowa at 1. LSU though in the women's side at 3. I that's one I did disagree on. Um, UCLA on the women's side at 2. So I think that the committee is just. I don't think the committee may not have totally gotten it right this time. Usually in the past, I may have agreed with a lot of their seedings, but um, I wasn't. I question a lot of it. Now there are some matchups though that I am looking forward to, like on the women's side, the North Carolina, Michigan State matchup in the first. I am looking forward to in the first round, right here with like Houston. In their matchup, I know it's a 1-16, but I think even though Houston will probably win, I think Longwood would just um, that's the name of the school, man.
I know.
Finish him, Daddy.
Pause, man. Jeez.
Immature, yo.
Just
That's
go
funny.
ahead, man.
Well, I had the women.
to give it.
I had the women's pulled up, Drake, because you mentioned it, and Cavante said it yesterday that the women's tournament is more excited than the men's. Do
Oh
you
yeah,
agree
for
with
sure.
that?
This
And we
year.
could potentially get a LSU, uh, Iowa
Iowa.
rematch in Elite Eight.
And that's what I'm saying. Like when you're looking at the bracketing, it's like, they, I, it's just it's just not it's not what I would have loved for it to happen. Now South Carolina can take on either LSU or um, Iowa possibly in the championship, but that you would think that LSU and Iowa would match up later. How like when you're looking at the bracketing, but to be in the Elite Eight, it's like no, you want all eyes to be on these people because you want to draw, you want to get the big draw. And that's the only downfall I say, and why I said that I'm questioning. Did they really look at like when they were making the bracket how things would match up? Um, I think the problem we've been talking about on the men's side is just the one and dones. You don't really get as excited with them. I feel like as you would in the past, and I just think the committee just seems like they just threw this stuff together, man.
Yeah, Cavante, I want to get your thoughts on the women, and then I want to get your Final Four predictions. But I don't see really anybody touching South Carolina, and I think LSU, Iowa, they're going to get rid of each other. I don't know how good Texas is. I think Stanford should be the favorite in that region. But I don't know, Cavante. How you feeling, man? Because you said the women were more exciting than the men.
Because that's where the matchups are. That's what I think that's where the money is right now. LSU and Iowa being in the same bracket, being in the same region is crazy to me. Like they're on a collision course to the Elite Eight, possibly.
Yeah, it is.
So that's all that's what I'm looking for. I agree with you, Byron. I think South Carolina is gonna roll. I think they're gonna roll. I don't think ultimately, let's see, Texas. It's Texas and Maryland's on this side, Gonzaga, Stanford, Texas. I don't know. On like this side of the bracket, well, I guess this side of the bracket, I don't think anybody got anything for South Carolina. I just think South Carolina is entirely too good. Don Staley is too good of a coach to, and she's gonna have these girls prepared. Well, she's gonna have these young ladies prepared. I love Iowa and LSU matchup for obvious reasons. Dating back to last year, so Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. That's the matchup, and who knows, they may continue the trajectory into the WNBA. You know what I'm saying? That's what we want. That's what keeps sports going is rivalries like that. If it ain't no conflict, it ain't much going on. That's why I don't care for the men's bracket or the men's college basketball this year, because there's no conflict. The conflict is on the women's side. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, conflict. We got Iowa and we got LSU. And then on top of that, we got the top dogs over. It was that Albany one. The top dogs is over there. So it's a bunch of different storylines going on because who won last year? South Carolina won. Who won last year?
Last
LSU.
year was
LSU won.
LSU won last year.
LSU won.
Now the year before that, was South Carolina, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
They've only lost 3 matchups in 3 years. They're trying to go undefeated, and like you said, I think because the women stay, name recognition with the coaches, I think that's why the women's side is more intriguing than as opposed to the men. I think, like I said, I think the one and done rule in the NBA is hurting the men's side, and
you think the one and done is hurting the men's side?
I think this is one of those years where it's hurting the men because you think about it. Caitlin Clark, she stayed. Angel Reese, she stayed. Dawn, we know like about their coaching, like the men's side. Usually we do talk about the coaches like the Calipari's, but there's no outside of like maybe a Calipari, you don't have those same staple coaches like you did in the past with Duke, North Carolina. Like you don't have those guys. That recognition that we've had in the past to kind of familiarize yourself with a particular school. So I think that kind of also hurts the men's side as well too. And also like before, like when we had one and done, we kind of like, okay, this person's projected to like go to the NBA. There's not no real follow this year to be like, okay, this person is like the real standout. He's going to the league. I just don't feel like we have that same, like I said, we don't have those same storylines as opposed to the women. We know, hey, Caitlin Clark's about to go number 1. Hey, where's Angel Reese going to land? We don't have any of that on the men's side, I feel like, this year.
Well, let's look at
you think it's the one and dones. Man, oh man.
I think this year is one of those years that the one and done rule is hurting the men's side.
I think number one, you do have a point. But I think the one and dones have been a thing for a while now. I think again, y'all, I've said this for quite some time now. The NIL is jacking up. Is jacking it up for the men's because the men's have much more. Let me see. They move around way more than the women do. The women, I feel like the women their value is in loyalty, and the guys are trying to get the bag. And I think along with like because the one that does like Calipari, Coach K when he was there, Williams, they was finding ways to still be relevant, even with the one and done rule. Like Calipari was the coach, was the coach guard.
I'm about to say that might have been the godfather of the one and done.
He got because he no matter what, he was in somebody's high rankings and he was going to somebody's Final Four. You know what I'm saying? So I think now, again, I blame it seems like I'm blaming everything on the NIL, but it's a thing. I think it's absolutely a thing now. Guys are moving around way more than women do. Once women are good where they at, they gonna stay. They gonna absolutely stay. And guys looking for the bag, and they trying to get to the NBA as fast as possible. Women, it's not necessarily the case. That's why they have a better product. But truthfully, the women's basketball has always had a better product than the men's basketball, just from a fundamental skill set.
And I think that earlier
But
today too, we were talking about. I think that with the transfer portal. Now I'm not sure. So Byron, is it that they can transfer during March Madness, or
I'll get the details on that because it just opened today. So I'll get the details on that.
That's something we were
during March Madness is crazy.
Yeah. How do y'all see this men's shaking out? I mean, y'all have a Final Four. Y'all have any upsets? Anything we should look forward to?
I think UConn is definitely going to go back. I would love to see Houston. We talked about Houston for years, but then Houston ends up not doing much. I want to say Kentucky, but sometimes like Kentucky hasn't been in there like they have in the past. Duke. We've had some losses this year, so I'm not. I'll be honest. This is a year where I'm not going to pick Duke to actually to go as far. Maybe like Elite Eight, but they're not. I don't think that they're going much further than that. Other than that, like I said, I really go with. If I had to pick somebody, it's going to be UConn. I'm just looking at the bracket for real. It's just that I mean, to me on the men's side, that's where I am. On the women's side, of course, I'm gonna go with South Carolina because South Carolina just seems to be steamrolling their way through whoever, and they just seem to be on a mission from last year. And I think that if they had to pick it, they would love to take on Iowa, and a lot of people would love to see Caitlin Clark finally get a ring, but you also want to see Dawn complete this undefeated streak right now. So that's a real outstanding storyline to me, as opposed to where on the men's side it's kind of we're unsure, and I don't feel like there's a true favorite for the men as opposed to the women.
Real quick on the transfer portal, it looks like players have until May 1st. It went from 60 days to 45 days, and there are more than 1,800 eligible players to put their names in.
That don't make no sense.
And basically,
not during the tournament, after the tournament, but not during.
Yes, so it'll be a large transfer portal class. There'll be multi-year transfers. There's no punishment, and they leverage negotiations, like Cavante said, with NIL. Is a part of the deal to get people transferred away, and it opened today at 4 p.m. And yeah, you got pretty much a 30-day window to enter the portal, and you have 45 days. It closes on May 1st. So there you go.
And when I talk about NIL, that's what I mean. I mean the NIL along with the transfer portal, because I feel like they're one and the same. Just the movement. I think this is crazy. I can't wait to see what happens, but this is unprecedented. It's really, really crazy. But I mean, on the men's side, I mean, at this point, I'm just going with old reliable. I'm going with the Blue Bloods. UConn, North Carolina. I feel like the champion is going to come from, one of those two programs, just for familiarity and the championship pedigree. That's what I'll lean on, because there's nothing else that I'm drawn to. There's no team that's trying to go undefeated. There's no top guys that I'm really aware of that's like gonna kill it, that we know gonna kill it in the draft. It's just men's basketball. It just seems like a letdown.
Yeah, this year it is a total letdown. Like you said, you got North Carolina and UConn. They both have 1 seeds, but when you look at some blue blood staples, you got Kentucky at 3, Duke at 4, Gonzaga at 5. Like what happened this year? Just
but
like I said, as a Duke fan, I knew I already know that this is not our year because we just had some losses that you just really question yourself at. I remember I think we lost to, I want to say, Xavier, and it was just like or was it Wake? It was Wake Forest. That's what it was. The Wake Forest loss kind of just told me like, yeah, this ain't the year, dog. And sometimes you have funny losses throughout the season, but that one was just the one when I was just like, yeah, bro, we ain't got it. We ain't who we used to be.
No, but I think that's pretty much everybody here because me being a Kentucky fan, it was good times. It was some really, really good times, and those times are long gone. I would love to see, and Kentucky does have a shot, but I just don't feel it this year. So I'm just gonna stick to the old reliable and say that the championship is probably gonna come from UConn or UNC. That's just I'm just thinking, and Dre, it says something that the old reliables are still there.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't been overtook by anybody.
Now, I am seeing something that normally I haven't seen, where you're seeing these 2-16 matchups. Is that a new thing, Byron? Where, because usually the 16 would just go straight to take on a 1 seed, but I'm seeing
The
they have like
playing,
Howard,
remember,
they have
68.
Howard, Wagner,
Yeah, it's
Grambling,
68 teams. So you got the first 4. So you got games on Tuesday and Wednesday.
So
that's right, because
playing,
it expanded to 68 teams this year. Okay, that's okay. I do.
But no, wait, no, it was always like that. They always had a first 4.
Yeah, it's been the first 4 for a few years.
They're playing for the 16th seed in whatever region that is. So it's Wagner and Howard are both 16 seeds. So they're playing to what bracket is that in? What region is that in?
That's the West, and then you got Mountain West.
You got the West,
Southern.
Howard, Wagner. You have the Boise State, Colorado is playing also, and you also have
Virginia and Colorado State.
Yep, Virginia, Colorado State. Yep, and Montana State Grambling for another 16 seed.
Right. So they're just playing. They're basically not in the tournament yet. For real. This is like the play-in, if you will.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, so
I remember. Yeah, because I remember like when you if like Howard would win the MEAC, they would automatically go to take on whoever the 1 seed is, and we already knew that was probably as far as they were going to go.
I mean, you remember back in the day when we was in school, Dre, Morgan quarter 15. You know what I'm saying? When Blake Griffin jacked us up, Oklahoma was 2. We were a 15 seed, but I think that's the highest. I think that's the highest I've ever seen anyone that won the MEAC get. But so let me see. So yeah, so Byron, I don't know, how is that determined? Because sometimes, like what Dre said, sometimes we get the automatic bid, and sometimes we have to do a play-in. How is that determined?
Yeah, let me get that information.
Who played the first 4? And is it strength of schedule or something like that?
Yeah, let me go to that now.
Because it's usually 2.
I can read that for you in 1 second.
Oh, but Byron, why? Well, Dre, I'm sorry. Why you're looking at that? You know me. I'm looking for a 5-12 upset. That's what I'm looking for in the men's. Get 5-12 upset. James Madison over Wisconsin.
Man, I'll never forget that 16 being the 1. What was that? UMBC when they beat a 1 seed?
Beat Virginia.
They beat Virginia. Goofies.
So it happens.
It happened.
Then the year after that, Virginia went to won the championship though.
And they won a championship with the year before or the year after?
The year after.
Year after.
Best.
So it looks like the first 4 days started in 2011, expanded to just 68 teams, 31 automatic qualifiers, That means winning the conference tournament, 37 at large, and the first four was created to trim that number 264. So basically, the committee ranks every team from 1 through 68, and the first four consist of the four lowest automatic qualifiers and the four lowest seeds at large. So the four lowest seeds who win their conference tournament and the four lowest seeds who got it just off of their schedule and strength of schedule. So the at-large teams plays the at-large teams, and the conference champions play the conference champions. If that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. Got you. Oh, so I'm looking at the 512s: Grand Canyon, St. Mary's, and Wisconsin James Madison. That's what I'm looking at. 512. I'm looking for a 5. There's always a 512 upset somewhere. I don't know if it's gonna be Grand Canyon or if it's gonna be James Madison, but I think it's gonna be a 512 matchup upset somewhere.
Yeah, well, I don't think no McNeese is beating Gonzaga. So that
No. That's why I said Wisconsin. Wisconsin James Madison, and I said St. Mary's Grand Canyon. I guess Gonzaga better not lose.
You know what? I could see James Madison.
And then they got San Diego State and UAB. I don't know too much, but the Grand Canyon, James Madison. I'm looking at one of them for an upset.
Yeah, it's and then you got. I'm trying to think of another one I'm looking forward to. I know. Yeah, look out for James Madison in Wisconsin, Cavante, 12-5. That could be interesting.
Yes.
And then McNeese against Gonzaga. Gonzaga's a 5 seed this year. Your lovely Gonzaga Bulldogs.
Dangerous. Very dangerous. Very dangerous. You want to stay. You do not want to be a 5 seed going to this tournament.
And then you also have Oregon against South Carolina, 11-6. I'm looking at that. That's something I'm looking forward to. Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. I think you may get Yale is a 13 against Auburn, who's a 4. You got Morehead State against Illinois, who's a 3. Some interesting ones here. Michigan State, Mississippi State, 8-9 matchup is going to be interesting. I'm intrigued. And Dayton, Nevada, 7-10. Cravante. I know you said 5-12. Those 7-10 matchups also are something to look forward to.
Indeed.
Yeah, I don't know. But are we all definitively going with UConn? I mean, are they the?
That's my pick right now, UConn.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't argue with it.
Like I said, I think it's UConn, North Carolina. Wait, I'm not even sure where they are in the bracket, but like, will they meet in the championship or will they meet in the Final Four?
UConn and who?
North Carolina.
UConn and North Carolina would meet in the Final Four.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also, don't forget the Final Four is in Phoenix, Arizona, and Arizona is the 2 seed in the bracket with North Carolina. I actually think Arizona might beat Carolina in the Elite 8.
I could see that.
We'll see. But yeah, UConn also has the team they beat in the finals last year in the championship, San Diego State. And who else was in the Final Four last year? They were also in this bracket. Was it Florida Atlantic also. So you got 3 of the 4 teams who were in the Final Four last year, and the team UConn beat in the championship also in the same bracket. So you could get a UConn San Diego State championship rematch in the Sweet 16. So interesting.
I'm cool with it. Let's do it. But that women's matchup, that's what I want to see.
Yeah, and I'll put the women's back up one more time for everybody. But yeah, man, I agree. I don't think South Carolina's going to falter this year. I think they will get their revenge back. Yeah, but shout out to Maryland women, the only local team to make it to the final to the final 68, make it to the NCAA tournament. No Maryland. Yeah,
they gonna play. They are going to play.
Only problem with them is
big
they
up
would
to the
have
Lady
to
Terps.
play. They would have to play Stanford in the second round, number 2 seed though.
Like
So we'll see.
That's unfortunate.
We'll see what happens. We got a big March coming up. Let us know in the comment section what you guys feel about the first 4 and who you think makes the final 4. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you guys leave us a like, hit the thumbs up. helps us out tremendously and helps YouTube recommend us to other people who would like to see videos like this. And if you're not on YouTube right now, you're watching this on another platform, go over to YouTube right now, search the Flex Zone Podcast, and hit that subscribe button. I think we're one away from 2,100, so let's get there tonight. But Cavante, myself, Dre,
Hey,
we're all feeling UConn and South Carolina. Shout out to Big Reg. I know he's up in Connecticut. He says UConn's winning everything. We'll see what happens with that.
Big Reg, we right there with you, baby.
We'll see what happens with there. But let us know your Final Four, anything you're looking forward to seeing in the tournament. Any upsets, any shocking matchups we should be looking forward to. And yeah, who you picking up in your bracket as well.